Welcome, everybody. My name is Mina Jane. I'm the director of the Ashland Public Library in Massachusetts, and I'm seeing some friends in the chat, Lisa and Charlene. Welcome. And I'm here for our second session with Lorelei of Lorelei's Lit Lair. She does amazing author talks with authors that are writing the best romance out there. And we will be talking with her in just a second. I just want to say a couple things. One is I want to thank the Friends of the Ashland Public Library for supporting all of our programs. Could not do this fun stuff without them. I'd also like to thank Lorelei, who let us share this program with other libraries. So we expect that we'll have some patrons from some surrounding libraries, which is fantastic. And because, when you have libraries working together, it's just magic. So Lorelei is going to be talking about fall romances today, fall themed, and she is going to be sending me a list of all of her books afterwards. So don't feel like you have to take notes. Don't be scribbling away. Just pay attention to us, and we will have a conversation. If you have questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A because it's a little hard for me to pay attention to them in the chat, but feel free to chat with each other throughout our talk in the chat. So Lorelei, welcome. Thank you so much for doing this again with us. We had such a blast in May. I had to do it
Oh,
again.
thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I was like, it's been such a long time since May.
Mhm. I know
And
time flies though. So I was just like, oh my gosh, it's already the day. So
yeah,
we're going to just start with one thing. I'm going to ask you first to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do. And then I have a question to get us started. And then you're going to make lots and lots of recommendations, and we'll take questions from our audience. So, Lorelei, tell us a little bit about yourself.
okay. I was dubbed a romance book ambassador. I say book ambassador, romance book ambassador because one time I said a romance ambassador, and I got a call one time, and they thought it was a dating thing. So unless you're in the romance community, I'm a romance ambassador. My passion is connecting romance readers and authors, and I do it in an engaging and safe way through a virtual community, which is called Let's Talk Romance Books. But it all began with Lorelei's Lit Lair since 2010, and yeah, I'm just an avid romance book lover. And I fell through that rabbit hole in 2010. So I'm a newbie compared to so many out there. And yeah, so this is what I love doing. And I always have a perpetual smile.
I have to say, for a newbie, you are like light years ahead of most readers. Like most of us like start off slow. I mean, I've been reading romance since I was like maybe 12. I was telling somebody earlier today, wait, maybe a little bit too young. But you just like a rocket just took off with both the reading and creating space, like you said, safe spaces, both in person and virtual for authors and readers to connect. And now you just told me a little while ago that you have an exciting new venture as well. What is this?
Yes. Yes. Well, this is like a dream come true. I have partnered with Writerspace. And Writerspace is a company who offers services to authors and also uh, community to readers. And they have just created something. It's in the works and it's going to be launched very soon. And it's called Bookspace. And inside book space, there's going to be reader space and writer space. So, book space is going to be an active and engaging community for authors and readers hosted by Writer Space. Authors will find a writing community, courses, resources, and most importantly, readers, because they're under the same umbrella. And readers will find a group of like minded book lovers um, who want to share their love and passion for romance and other genres. It's going to include more than romance. So they're going to have mystery and other, how do you say, other subgenres as well. But it's to build community and for life, build friendships and community for life.
And
And both communities will cross over sometimes through events. So this is like a romance reader's playground or book haven, something like that. So I can't wait. It's going to be, I'm going to share with everyone, and I'll share with you, Mina, a book book space wait list
Okay.
so that if you're interested in being part of this community, you can just sign up.
Okay. Yeah, I'll send that information out to everybody in my email recap. So let's talk about fall themed romance. We were talking earlier today about I was just like, well, everybody, I don't really follow football, but it's like the one big thing in the fall. But then you reminded me there's actually a lot of other sports going on at this time.
Gosh, well, I don't know if you were readers there, watched the Paris Olympics. I had a hangover. I had watched, the gymnastics and skating and, I wasn't watching it so much because I was busy reading, but then I fell down the TikTok rabbit and oh my gosh, ice skating. I fell in love. Anyway, there's so many sports out there. And then so I said to the group, they were all talking about football, baseball, rugby, and all these sports. And I said, oh my gosh, that's a perfect theme for the fall.
Mhm.
Because in the fall, school begins, football games, and I was a band mom, so I know nothing about football. I could see that, the touchdown and all that, but really, yeah, I was just how do you say a spectator.
Mhm.
Hockey romance. Oh, that's another one. Thank you, whoever shared. And please, this I tell Mina, this is like when you win an Oscar and then you have to say, remember everybody's name and you're going to forget somebody. So I know I have here a list of books, and you probably have other books because there's an endless supply of romance books, but I'm just going to go off some that I've had in my shelf, some that I've read, some that are going on my to be read pile. But yeah. So
So
shall
what Lorelei is saying is if you have books that you have enjoyed in the genre of fall themed, right now we're doing sports, feel free to throw those titles and authors into the chat and I will share those out later too because we don't read it all. We want to see what you're reading.
Yes, yes. And the best way of getting book recommendations is when you hear it from someone else, which is what I do and what I've received. So anyway, so I'm going to start first because I have here a cart.
I love it.
I didn't want to forget them, and I like visuals. So I'm going to start with one. This is baseball, and that's The Art of Catching Feelings. So this came out this year. This one has He Falls First. It's a slow burn, hidden identity, workplace romance, and there's a lot of texting. So a lot of email communication. Now, this one is funny how it starts because you know how baseball players, when they go to bat, there's this guy who she's sitting in the stands and doesn't care, doesn't know anything about baseball. And she hears the guy sitting next to her yelling, things to the batters and whatever. So when it was his turn to go to bat, she said something and he heard her, even though she got a good seat. And what she said really affected him. And then stuff happens.
Who
But
wrote,
they,
who wrote this
yes,
book?
this is by Alicia Thompson.
Okay. And
So there's that kind like when you say something and then you didn't realize that, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have said that. And how do I apologize? But it's a complete stranger. And then there's sort of a little bit of miscommunication, like you miss out one little piece of information and the other person, he doesn't know. And that piece of information is very important. But anyway, I really enjoyed this one. Another
can
baseball
I
one.
just say that if for baseball books, I love Kate Angel. I don't know if you've read any of her books, but
No,
she's written
no.
this whole baseball series. So I'm just going to throw in stuff
Oh,
too. So go ahead, keep going.
Jill, I have her somewhere here, but I will tell you. So this one's this one. And then this is another baseball one. Play for Me by Libby Hubsher.
Mhm.
And this one is a Grumpy Sunshine. He's a pianist, musician, and she plays baseball. She's a coach. Um, this has forced proximity. she goes to a boarding school to help, the youth play, and he's a musician, but she's in the boarding room where they live, the roommates, um, and nobody can touch his piano because, so she's, so he's the grumpy, she's the sunshine, she's trying to get through him, but anyway, I really enjoyed this one. It's been a while, but yeah, it's a good one. Um,
Connie says in the Q&A that she really enjoyed the art of catching feelings. So good
yes.
choice.
Thank you, Connie. Then we have the Game Changer.
Ooh.
And this one is by Lana Ferguson. This is hockey romance. It's spicy, the same as the Catching the Feelings. And I'm not sure about this one if this one was spicy, but I'm sure it had a little spice. And Lana Ferguson,
Mhm.
she's an influencer baker, and he's a hockey player, and he has to move from where he is because he's got a bad reputation. So he's trying to clean his image, and she needs more stats, more viewers. So they kind of put them together to see if her stats go up and fixes his image
Mhm.
around. But um, she is his best friend's younger sister.
Mm,
So these are siblings, they're friends, they know each other since they were little, but nothing ever happened. And
mhm.
so, yeah,
Oh,
so they kind of keep it under wraps. Um, Slow burn, friends to lovers. So, oh, fake dating, because they have to fake date so that, because they're friends, and nothing can happen. Nothing, there's no chemistry. They're just pining for each other.
all that spice is just.
Yeah.
So I have to say that my favorite hockey series is by Rachel Gibson. Have you?
Do you see her right here? This one is my favorite
Jane
because
Score.
it's the first one. So
Mhm.
there, she's going on the list now. I got to add her to the list. Another one. I love anything written by Chloe Lisa, I believe is
Mhm.
how you say her name. So Only When It's Us. I haven't I haven't read it yet. It's on my to be read pile. And it's soccer. I love soccer. I understand soccer. So I can't wait to read this one. I know I've read a few of the beginning ones, but yeah, anything by Chloe Lisa is wonderful. And this is a new to me too, and it's on my list. And I've never heard of Cross the Line, a Formula One romance written
Cool.
by Simone Soltani. So this one is a Formula One. There's lots of pining and flirting. So I'm excited about this one.
Formula One. And is that is that sort of like a diverse romance? I'm seeing like sort of a mixed
Yes. Yes. And let's see. He's Dev Anderson and Willow Williams.
Mhm.
So yes. Yes, it looks diverse. Dev Anderson and Willow Wilson, da, da, da. They're determined to keep things strictly professional, regardless of old feelings and blazing chemistry between them. But in the glittering and high stakes world of Formula One, some lines are meant to be crossed.
Agreed.
So it's beautiful. I love
Love
it.
it.
Excited.
Simone, what was it? Simone
Simone Soltani.
Sultani.
And
Okay.
if I know my last names correctly, I think she's Persian. Let me see,
Mhm.
because that seems like a Persian name. But anyway, let's see. Yes, she's a romance author. Uh, is a romance author and former ghostwriter for a serialized fiction platform. Born and raised in Washington, D.C., and she holds a BA in geography from the George Washington University, which she likes to think comes in handy for world building in her novels. When she's not writing, she spends most of her time planning vacations she'll probably never get to go on, reorganizing her many bookshelves, and watching sports while cuddling with her dogs
Oh. Love it.
from Washington, D.C. Good, good, good. And this is an oldie but goodie.
No, so good.
It is so good.
Hmm.
It's been a while, and all I'm going to tell you, it was written beautifully. I can't remember exactly what it's about, but that's just what I remember. And I remember that there's a big bond of girlfriends,
Hmm.
heroes. Yeah, you can't go wrong.
So good.
Alexa,
Well, separately from Alexa Martin, who I adore, and I think everybody should read her, do you have you read the Bromance Book Club?
oh yes, she's over there.
Oh, okay. All right. Because I also love that. And I don't, is it football or baseball?
I forgot. I should get her. I missed it. She's my first one over there.
It's okay. I just think the bromance one is so funny because the premise is that, like, I want to say it's football. Like a bunch of football players get together for a book club and they read romance books to figure out how to deal with their various relationships. It's
Yes, and then the relationship counseling is through romance novels.
yeah, I love it. I love it. It's just like the perfect everything. So it's
Yeah.
not that's not Alexa Martin. That's a different author. I can't remember
No,
it.
that's Lissa K. Adams.
That's right. That's right.
That's why I say Adams is way over there on the other side.
Your books are in alphabetical order. I love it. That's
Yeah.
why. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Well, actually, I have to now reorganize my shelves because you see how I display them? So I've got them all mixed up. So I'm going to have fun getting
Oh,
that.
the mother of.
Ball is simply the best
Mhm,
because she's simply the best, Elizabeth, Susan Elizabeth Phillips. And this is her, I believe it's her 10th one from the Chicago Star series.
mhm,
But this one is great. This one has a failed chocolatier. There's a little murder mystery.
mhm,
Um, there at the beginning, I don't know if I should. He's a sports agent and she's a failed chocolatier.
mhm,
And they never have met, absolutely. But when they do, um, her brother is his client.
mhm,
And so his brother, her brother, is his client.
mhm.
And, so you can't cross the line either on that. But she's a chocolatier and she's trying to make her business and things happen. When I just say Susan Elizabeth Phillips, just, it's no words are needed.
Although I have to say that I liked her earlier books in the Chicago Star series a
Yeah.
lot, but I loved her golf one, the Fancy Pants.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So one of my friends here, one of my readers told me that she was the first to write, I think, a sports romance of golf,
Mhm.
I
I,
think. And Tessa Bailey also wrote a sports romance. I have her on my list here somewhere, and it's called Fangirl Down.
mhm, mhm.
So that's a good one.
Right. And her second book in that series is about a hockey player. So Tessa's going through the various sports.
Various sports. Yes, yes.
Her
Oh
books
my God.
are pretty spicy too.
Yes, she is. She's like, I've got my fan here somewhere. I've got a fan. So, okay. Um, very spicy. Um, so these are books recommended from my readers from my community. And I read this one, The Rule Book by Sarah Adams. It's
Mhm.
a football second chance romance with quirky characters. I loved this one. It turns out that he and her at the beginning they were college sweethearts or something, and then she wanted to move on, to find world, and she broke up with him. But he was always in love with her, and he felt so bad that he left her.
Mhm.
But life happens, they go around, and it turns out that she becomes an agent for him when he sees her. It is, oh, he gives her a hard time. Let me tell you, I loved it. Yeah, I felt bad for her, but it's almost like, get to it. But yeah, or her books. And then if you have read the Sarah Adams, she's also the one, the cheat sheet. So it's a follow-up.
Mhm.
But as I understand, you can read them out of order. But if you want to read them in order, the cheat sheet. And then And then that one. The next one that was
Anybody
recommended.
who knows me knows that I have to read books in order. I cannot, I have to put it down if it's a second or third book in a series. So I will look for the cheat sheet.
Yes. And then another one recommended by my lovely friends here is The Friend Zone and the Game Plan by Kristen Callahan.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
haven't read her yet, and she's a football one.
Hmm.
And yes, she says you're gonna love Mina. You're gonna love her, Mina, Sarah Adams. Um, The Rookie Rebels, and is a series by Kate Meador. So she's hockey. And actually, she has on Amazon, she has a three-book set, like one, two, three,
Hmm.
and they're all together. And if you just wanted to try her out, their first book is free on Kindle. So
Ooh.
on Amazon. So that's good. And her most recent one, if you've already read her books, is The Hockey Wife. So that's the last one.
Mhm.
And then we had Fangirl Down. And for hockey, anything by, I guess, Megan Quinn, Helena Hunting, um, Grace, oh, I forgot the name. Help me out there.
Great. Sorry. Um, I'm going to say that you can't talk about sports romances without talking about Kennedy Ryan. No.
Oh,
Grace Riley. Okay.
yes, Grace Riley. Thank you. So Kennedy Ryan, she's like a subgenre in her by herself. Long Shot. Wow. And
That book absolutely wrecked me for reading more of that series because it was so demanding emotionally.
I started reading that book and I said, how the heck is she going to get those two together? It's impossible.
Mhm. It really was.
And she did it beautifully.
She did.
Like, no, it
Definitely
can't.
should read her trigger warnings because that was a tough
Yes,
book for
yes.
even me to read.
Most of her books all have trigger warnings. They have really in-depth emotion. I mean, if, yeah,
Yeah, tough.
she's one of those that, when you're ready and you really want your heart and then put back together, you want a really good cry and emotional and feel so good at the end. Yes, Kennedy Ryan.
Can I ask you a quick question though? We'd started out with talking about Olympic books that, with the Olympics, but actually the last one I saw about the Olympics was ice castles of all things, like in the 80s. So is
Yes,
there anything more current?
there is, but you know what? Now you say ice castles, but I haven't read them, but I know there are. There are some. But can I tell you, this I'm going to throw in. I'm just discovered, these are going to be one of my debut author discoveries that I fell in love with.
Mhm.
She doesn't write ice skating, but she ice skates herself.
Ooh.
And the book is called, it was Laugh Out Loud Funny. I bookmarked so many pages and I listened to the audiobook. So I highly recommend the audiobook. It's two characters, male and female, and they nailed it. It was wonderful. I bookmarked, like I said, so many spots. Um, Funny, hilarious. Oh my gosh, now I have to get them. But so the name of the book is Take Me Home by Melanie Sweeney.
Ooh.
And it's let me see if I can find it here. It's no bet. Oh, so they know each other from the past, and after years, after she broke up with her boyfriend, 4 years have passed, they've gone to college. Now he works in a coffee shop and she visits that same coffee shop and they fight for a chair. He's the barista, but he doesn't get to work until 5:05. So she always tries to come in before 5:05 so she can get on the chair because that's her chair. And when she comes in and he's sitting there, he's like, there's other chairs. He said, that's my chair. So the banter and the bickering, it goes on. But his car breaks down and he needs a ride home. There's some from the same hometown. She has to go back because she's summoned because her dad is going to get married again. He's going to get remarried. And she's sort of a people pleaser. How do you say, has imposter syndrome. She's doing her, oh, what do you call this? Like a when you do your graduate doctorate, she's a TA.
Mhm.
So she grades papers and she works, for professors. And but she really is not happy there. She wants to really do what she loves, but she feels she's not ready. So it's a lot about imposter syndrome. For him, it's about, letting his emotions, to show. But anyway, I loved it
Mhm.
like so much. So I
I,
had to look for the author. And, then when I see she ice skates, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love ice skating. And then we started sharing videos.
oh my God, it's hilarious. Okay, so I see you have a Kristen Higgins there, and I know the best man is set in a vineyard. So,
Yes. So now we're headed towards the vineyards, wineries, breweries, restaurants. I couldn't find that many, but of course, the best man from the Blue Heron series. So that's a must. This is a funny one because he's the cop, right?
mhm.
And she's coming back home, and yeah, they kind of don't get along at the beginning, but yeah. And a fun fact, I'm in the story.
But there's good reason for them to not get along. I mean, they had a pretty crazy misunderstanding.
Yes, because she was going to get married and he was the best man and kind of made the groom not how do you say for them not to get married. So that's why she has this resentment towards him.
But
Sweater scene.
he ended up being the best man for her.
Yes.
So
Yes.
beautiful. But there's um there's another the whole series is set in the vineyard, right? Up in the Finger Lakes of New York.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. There are five of them. They're
There's
back here. So, so
there's another book of hers though that is set in a restaurant, right? The one with the two brothers.
yes. Oh my gosh.
I can't remember what it's called because the names are all mixed up in my head, but it was the two brothers and the brother, the one,
Oh,
the woman, the brother
yes.
died.
Until that's my favorite.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I
The
cried.
next best thing.
The next best thing. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
Charlene.
Charlene.
And Patty, Megan Quinn is about
Megan.
Olympic swimmers. Oh, I love it.
Yes. So I'm going to be reading more, but hopefully for the next Olympics, I'll be prepared.
Okay.
Another one set at this is not a vineyard, but it's a winery, and it's by Jasmine Gilroy, Drunk on Love.
Mhm.
And this one, she is a successful owner of a winery with her brother, and but they inherited it, and they need uh, staff to help with, working in the vineyard. But she has been so stressed that her friend says, you need a break. Go take a break. Don't think about work. So she goes to a bar, has a drink, meets this handsome, charming guy, and he looks not from here. And they start, no, let's not talk about work. And
Oh.
then things happen until the next morning when he comes in, when she discovers who her one of her employees was the one that she just saw last night.
Of course.
So fun, a lot of chemistry. Um, it's a workplace romance. Yeah. And
Jasmine Guillory is, I think, she's been like sort of a real trailblazer for contemporary romance with African American protagonists. And I think she does such a good job in the characterizations, like the character development, figuring out who these people are and how they get together. I think she's amazing. And her next book, the one that just came out or the one that's coming out, is actually LGBTQ, which is like like she's really like branching out and being inclusive, and I love that about her.
yes, yes, I can't wait for that one. And another one, this one is a brewery. This I read a while ago, but I loved it. And it has to do also with um I think it's mental health. Uh, but I love this one. It's she goes and she is going to rehab this hotel. Um, and so she's fired from a hotel, but then she gets this, she goes to a tiny island and starts to rebuild this place. And let's see, she goes and she meets this handsome, reclusive man who knows everything about brewing beer and nothing about running a hotel, especially one that's barely than foundation and studs. But it's not Rachel's job, what she's looking for, but Mason offers her a chance to help build a hotel and rebuild her life from the ground up. So
Um,
even though he's, quiet, but some you see all these little stickers. What I love about this is these are notes, is that on every chapter, I know there's too much light here. There's always a word, and that word is in a different language. I think it's Swedish.
mhm.
Some are in Swedish, others are in Serbian. So from different languages, she puts in words, Bulgarian, and she gives a definition of what that word is, and that chapter has a feel to that word, is connected to that word. So I kind of love that.
Yeah, talk about multicultural.
Yes, yes, yes. And fun cast from group of people there. And this one is Last Call at the Local
Mhm.
by Sarah Grunder Reese. And these are about neurodiverse characters. And she has ADHD. And he is a charmer from the get-go. When he begins, I fell in love with him in the first chapter. He was just, he was reading her hand.
Oh, little palm reading there.
Yeah, palm reading hand, and yeah. And she was like, "Oh my gosh." And then there's a black cat. Yeah, I love her books. So this one is definitely, and it's set in a bar. The brother owns a bar, and so that's where they meet.
Now, is that one? I mean, I don't know that author. Is that necessarily very spicy?
I think so. It's not, maybe not too spicy, because I will know, like if it's Kennedy Ryan, I will remember that's spicy. So
Mhm.
I tell readers, if you find a book that is spicy, too spicy for you, just skip, just scan. Because my example, when I discovered Kennedy Ryan, I was a Twilight reader. I was like a Kristen Higgins. I was like really, tamed romance reader. But had I not, gone for it, I would never have read a book by Kennedy Ryan. I would have missed out so much.
Mhm.
So, but I've grown up now. So, so
I mean, we all have our like limits and things like that. Like there's certain books that
yes,
I have more difficulty with, but I think ultimately you want to read the story, like you said, like you don't want to miss out on it just because it's more spicy or less spicy than you would want. So um,
exactly,
it's something.
exactly. It's the story. It's the story. Because if it were just, the sex part, for that, there's a genre
Mhm.
specifically for that.
Mhm.
We fall in love with the romance and how the characters grow together. Another one set is Jessica Joyce, The X-Files. And I am so excited because we are having her as a guest in our club. She's going to be joining us. I'll tell you later the date, but I'm so excited. So she's going to be talking with us. And this one is about they second chance romance. Let me see. Second chance romance, a best man, because their best friend is getting married. And so he's the best man and she's the bridesmaid. And they don't want his best friend to know that they broke up or that they're not friends anymore. No, that they know he broke up. He knows that they broke up, but that they're still friends, I think. Now I have to reread it again. But anyway, they have to pretend. And but they get together. Yeah, they work together. They work together, but really, they really had to work together
Mhm.
for this second chance.
Oh, that's nice. You want people to like work for it. You don't want it to be easy, so that you can more believe the end that they can be happily ever after because they've done the work.
But they as best man and the bridesmaid, they have to work so hard because things keep happening, and it's like they're jinxed.
Mm. Oh, it's
So
too.
their friend really needs their help. So,
Mhm.
you know, that's really pushing the limits. But yeah, beautiful. And I cried at the end. I
Oh.
cried at those books. And
Uh,
then I
I do
think my
want to say
last one,
that I love Natalie Kanya. Charlene mentioned her, The Proposal I Can't Refuse.
yes.
She's such a good writer, such a good writer.
Yes, yes, yes. We had her also at a club. And then I just love this Chloe Lisa cover because it's all fall. I haven't read it yet either. It's an opposites attract, a modern day marriage of convenience and finding love and home in the most unlikely of places. So,
Oh, I do love that cover.
yes, I just loved it. I just picked it for the cover. And so let me turn my cart around because I'm halfway through.
Well, we have about 20 more minutes, so 20.
Okay, so another fall is the cafe between pumpkin and pie, and this one is written by Marina Adair, Kate Angel,
Oh,
and Stacy Finz.
okay.
So I have that there. So these are three in one.
Hmm.
Very. So I got the spicy and the pumpkin or fall themed, and then this one just came out, and it's sunshine and spice. So it has the word spice in it. And I just started reading it. So she is trying to redesign his mom's shop place to revive it because it's going out of business or competing, whatever. And so she's there to help. But his mom is trying to match make to find him a wife. So they make an agreement. And
Oh,
so it's like fake dating.
hmm. Who's the author?
The author is new to me is Aurora Palit.
I was gonna say they look Indian to me.
Yes,
Yeah,
Aurora Palit. Beautiful.
I will be looking that up.
Yes. Oh, and I can't go. This is another romance, even though it's in the restaurant. So this is from restaurant to fall themed as to Halloweenish and
Okay.
um anyway, The 7 Year Slip is last year. It was my first favorite book of the year. I loved it. It's about this is magic realism. I didn't know there was a thing. So this is magic realism. She goes back in time to her grandmother's apartment. When she walks in, her aunt is alive and as well. And then she walks out, and then she goes to the past and the present. So in the past, she meets the young hero in this book, but what happens in the present? So it's kind of like the lake house
Yeah.
with Sandra Bullock. So it's kind of like this. I
I have
loved it.
to I have to say that I cannot read anything that has time travel in it. I can't do it.
Oh, I,
I know that there's some really great books, some really great romances with time travel. I just can't do it. I can't wrap my mind around the fact that it doesn't just keep happening. Like that movie, Time After Time. Every time he sees that penny, you all know what I'm talking about. It happens again. I can't deal.
well, this one is the apartment. How it looks like is when you know she's in the past and the present. But I loved it. And it's been a while since I read. And then another one of her novels, and this is a funny one, it's the novel Love Story, is that the main character with her best friend. They're supposed to go to this place for a book club, but it turns out in the middle of the night that she's going by herself and she gets stranded in a place in a ditch, and some guy comes to help her, and in the morning when she realizes she's in the town of the of the fictional setting of one of her favorite books that she's read over and over and over again, and she realizes she's in the book. She's in the story and she can't believe it. So that's part of the love story. But there's a character there that she has no clue where he's from because she doesn't know him. She knows the baker, she knows all the people because she's read the story many times, but there's one, the main hero, she doesn't know. She doesn't recognize him.
Now, is
So
that is that like true romance with like the two? major needs of a romance, which is like the couple is the main story and they have a happily ever after.
It should. You see how she's in the book? I haven't finished it.
Oh, okay. All
I
right.
haven't finished it, but I'm in the part where she's realizing, he's she's trying to help him find his love story, but his partner, but she doesn't know who it is. He must be from another story, or I don't know. I'm guessing there. So I have to finish it, but
Well, report back to us next time because it does sound
yes,
really interesting.
yes. Oh, and this one I loved.
Ooh, Robin says it does have an HEA, so it's really good.
Yes, it has to. It's, I know what you mean because, yeah, sometimes you don't know if, but yeah,
Yeah.
it has to. The Love of My Afterlife. It has a Good Morning America book club seal. Totally deserved. It is, I loved it. I laughed. It was funny. She dies eating a hamburger. She goes to the afterlife. And then think of Melissa Carter up there. Like she's one of the, oh, I forget the bridesmaids, one of the,
McCarthy.
yes, McCarthy. Yeah, yeah. You know what I mean. She's up there. She's so funny. And just imagine that. And she says, "Oh, yep, you're dead. You got to stay here." And she's the only one that's come to her. And then this handsome guy comes to the afterlife and they're talking in their chemistry. She had a past where no self-esteem, no relationship with, her life was boring. She didn't feel good about herself, didn't have good friends, good surrounding. And she meets this guy in the afterlife and he's wonderful. And there's chemistry and there's, oh my gosh. But then the lady in the afterlife says, "Oops, there was a mistake. It's not your time." And he goes down to earth. She said, "Let me go down. If you send him down," I mean, he says, "Nope, I can't. It was your time was up." But she has to do something in order to, you know, if that's going to happen. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say. But I loved it. I loved it.
Can I ask you a question? It kind of goes back to what we were just saying about the other book. Did it have a happily ever after? This might throw us off course a little bit, but
Doesn't matter.
I have noticed that some authors or publicists or publishers are pushing women's fiction as romance, even though it doesn't have those two things where the main character, the couple is the main story and they have the happily ever after. And I've seen it now in a couple of places, and I'm wondering what's that about because I get
I
so mad when I pick up a book that's set as a romance, but it doesn't have those two things.
I think it's so. Have you noticed that those smaller trade paperbacks, the mass markets,
Mhm.
are not coming out as
Not
much,
really.
you
Yeah.
know? So I think so they're opting for the bigger thing, and I think it confuses. So you have to really look if see, it says here contemporary romance. But what I think it's that many authors who used to write romance and now are writing women's fiction, they still include that romantic element.
But it's
So
romance, right? I mean, like,
exactly. So
right?
that's why I ask it. Yeah, and I ask many authors, is this a romance? Is that do the hero, do the main characters, do they make it to the end? Like, living and happy. And that's what I look for
Mhm.
because I was devastated once that I read the love chemistry. The ladies help me there, something lessons in chemistry. And I thought it was a romance just by looking at the title. I didn't give anything away, did I? But
No. But
not a romance.
the thing that I think is, and I won't take up too much more time because I do want to get to your books, is that I think that because romance has become such a huge selling juggernaut that people who are writing women's fiction or their publishers are trying to get in on the money of it, of being able to of sales to say
Yeah,
that whatever. But like I know I'm going to a book club in a couple days and it's a romance book club, they said, but they picked a non-romance for the book. And I paid like $30 for that book, and I'm like, it's not a romance. But I'm
yeah.
seeing it more and more where people are not necessarily the authors, but the publishers are trying to get into that.
Yes, yes. No, definitely. And I host the Let's Talk Romance books, and
Hmm.
it's exclusively romance. It has to be a romance in order for me to feature it. I would feel devastated if a love story is not the same as a romance.
Hmm.
And that's what I learned. So if they say a love story, it's like the whole story, but doesn't mean that they're going to live to the end.
Exactly.
So that's the difference.
Yeah. So Beatrice said lessons in chemistry is delightful, which is completely true, but
Yes.
it's also not a romance.
Yes, I loved it. Let me say I loved it, but I wasn't prepared for some things that happened, but it wasn't a romance, but I loved it. It was
Right.
a love story. It was definitely a love story. I loved it.
But for somebody who's like a diehard romance reader to be, as somebody said, bait and switch, just makes me.
Yeah. Mm.
Okay, let's keep
No,
going.
no, no, definitely. So these I haven't read. These are kind of new. They just came out or they're about to come out. The Vampire Plus One
Mm.
by Jenna Levine. Looking forward to that. And this one too, Witch of Wild Things.
Ooh.
So I like that one too. And it's by Raquel Vasquez Gilliland
Mhm.
or Gilliland. I'm not sure. But yeah,
So
I'm
you
more
you've
witchy.
not read these ones, but
No,
yeah,
no.
okay.
I
All
have
right.
them here.
Good.
And
Okay.
Tide.
I love Allie Hazelwood. Love
Yes,
her.
yes, yes, yes. I do there. And then we have Whoopsie.
Oh, while you're getting that, Lori asks, "What are the two elements that make up a romance novel?" And the two elements is that the two love interests, their story is the main story of the book, and that they have a happily ever after, a
Happily or happy
believable.
for now.
Yeah,
Happy.
be happy for now.
Yeah.
Has to be a believable. They will be together for the rest of their, if they're vampires, eternity, and it has to be believable.
Yes. So definitely. A Werewolf's Guide to Seducing a Vampire.
Oh,
That's by Sarah Hawley.
okay.
And these I haven't read. Uh, Night for Day. This is a cute one. She works during the day and he does at night, so they get to meet. So I don't know. This was an interesting premise of the story. So
Oh, did you see that movie Lady Hawk back in the 80s? You can tell how old I am, people, because Lady Hawk was my absolute one of my absolute favorite movies. And it was the couple was cursed. So he was a person at night and she was a person at night at daytime, and they couldn't, they only had like a second to like be together every day. Yes,
oh,
thank you, everybody. Lady Hawk.
Lady Hawk. Okay. This is Looking for Love in All the Haunted Places. That's cute. By Claire Kahn.
Okay.
There.
Oh, okay.
And Erin La Rosa. So she'll be visiting our club on October 17th. So we're going to get to meet her and talk about the backtrack, which is they go back these she goes during high school, they're together, but they don't because they're best friends. She doesn't want to lose that friendship. So she says no to a kiss and they go on their separate paths. So when they meet back in the future, in the later on in life, she finds a tape that he made for her. And it goes back. What if I would have said yes? What would have happened? So it's a really nostalgic, if you like going back, to the time from high school. So this is a really great one.
Wow. I think we
And
all we all to go through that. Like, what if we done
yes,
this? What if we done that?
what if we've done this? What if what if I've kissed him? What if I, did this? Where would we be? You know, all these things. And oh, I love this one by Jen DeLuca, Hot
Mhm.
Ever After. And one thing I love about this book is the cover. Everything that's in the cover is in the story, or everything in the story is in the cover. And I loved it. Every time she was describing, so I'd look at the cover. There it is. So I loved it, loved it. And it's set in Florida. She buys a haunted house and she doesn't know. And her laptop won't charge. So she has to go to his coffee shop in order to work on her laptop. And he's not wanting to date anyone, but she's beautiful. And, so so he tries to talk to her and, he had a bad breakup. But anyway, I love this one.
So
Definitely.
Jen writes those amazing Ren Fair books.
Yes. And this is the first one. I don't know if it's a series or not, but I loved it.
Hmm.
Really loved it.
Jen
And
Luca, remember that, everybody.
Jen DeLuca. And let me just say, last time I forgot to mention this book, Viscount in Love.
Hmm.
And it does have a little bit of like a Halloweeny thing because the two kids in this story, this is the Viscount, he's grumpy looking for a babysitter, but really he needs a wife and she will not put up with, because she wants to marry for love. She's an artist, but um I can't remember if it says here. Um I can't remember, but anyway, the kids that she his nephews, the parents die and he has to take care of the nephews. Those nephews are like 9 and 10 and they all talk about like the very eccentric kids,
Hmm.
kind of like the Addams family kind of thought process. So they're adorable,
Hmm.
and then there's a list of the things that they cannot say.
I was going to say that in terms of the list of things that you cannot say in a romance recommended book talk is weenie, because everybody's going to read that or hear that a little bit differently. Just
Yeah.
saying. You said Halloweeny, and I read that as different.
Yes, yes. And this one was another discovery this year. I fell in love so much so that I raved about this book that Julia Quinn read it and said, that Lorelei that I had mentioned and talked about, and she read it and she said it was great. And I'm like,
I saw that post.
yes, yes. So it is Love and Other Perennial Habits by Emmeline Warden.
Mhm.
And if you know audiobook narrators, Mary Jane Wells, I
Mhm.
had her as a guest in July, and she was so kind to read sample of a few pages of her book,
Oh my.
and it was amazing.
Mhm.
So definitely, this one is that her husband was a mean old guy, dies, and she says, "Thank God, because now I'm free." But she married so young that she could have been something else, somebody else, and she doesn't know who she is. So the only thing he left her was a dilapidated manor, and the one of the family members said, "That's insulting. You should have, I want to help you." She says, "No, it's okay. I'll take my manor." So she wants to um help, build it
Mhm.
and reconstruct it, repair it. And so she goes there and she becomes free and, she becomes a little bit more outgoing,
Mhm.
wearing trousers, away from the ballrooms.
Mhm.
The hero is he's going to the same place where she is, like the same area, they're neighbors, but he wants to just garden and de-stress because he loves the garden and things that before he becomes with takes the responsibilities of becoming a marquess. So in there he finds this lady when he goes to eat in this bar, so charming and happy and delightful and intriguing, and he just falls in love and then finds her throughout the story and then wants to help her rebuild the house because he knows all about gardening, needs to fix the garden. And slowly, they things happen.
Mhm.
But she has to decide whether to follow her heart or find herself.
Mhm.
Yeah, I loved it too. So that's my decision. Oh, and one more. And I don't have the cover of it, but I will put it in the list. And it's 83 degrees. No, sorry, 183 Reasons is the name of the book by Alana Grace.
Mhm.
And it's about Solia Anderson. She'll do anything to save her family's remote lodge that has been in her family since forever. And so she's decided that since she doesn't want the family to sell it, She's going to go and leave her life because she doesn't want to remember her breakup with the guy, and she's off to make it happen. And then she is brave, secure of herself. She's stubborn, she's determined, and she will do it. She's very strong, powered. And then when she goes to the hardware store to pick up some things, she runs into this handsome town heartthrob. But he falls. They have chemistry and chemistry, but he has some sort of well-guarded secret that is kind of makes him think that he doesn't know if that will help the relationship blossom or not.
Mm.
So loved it, the chemistry, the characters. I felt like I was in a small town
Mhm.
and many things and narrations, like what was happening. So
Mhm.
Alana Grace, highly recommended.
So I want to go back to the book right before that, the one
Oh,
that.
oh, oh, one last thing. The reason why I thought it was a fall theme was because she's a teacher. So, and then the second book in the series is called 43 Degrees, and that's one of the sister-in-law. So it's a series, and she's a teacher. So, I think school starts in the fall, and yeah.
I'm glad you stayed on them. But I was going to say that the book that you mentioned before that, the one that Julia Quinn recommended, it kind of reminds me of the Lisa Kleypas series with the Ravenels, where he inherits like this decrepit old manor and he has to fix it up and he kind of inherits the family as well. And I just love that series. I love anything Lisa Kleypas writes.
Oh, anything, anything. But this is a debut novel.
Really?
Yes, that's a debut author. And I said, "Oh my gosh, I think this is the first in the series. And I think she has others, but I think this was the first.
Hmm.
The second one is Seasonal Habits of Husbands and Honeybees. And it has a neurodiverse character on that one.
Okay.
And yes, to the Lisa Kleypas, all of them. But definitely check out Emmeline Warden. I mean, and Alana Grace and Melanie Sweeney
Okay.
for Take Me Home. Love the chemistry and banter. Questions? We got like 3 seconds.
Oh, wait, actually, I have about 2 more minutes. So I'm just gonna say to everybody that Lorelei will be back with us in December to talk about her best of 2024 and her what she's looking forward to in 2025. So I'll send out that link as well because we just can't get enough of you, Lorelei. I mean, this is amazing.
And I wanted to say that I'll be hosting virtual events this year. I have all my authors lined up until December. I have Anna Campbell, Kathy Maxwell, Bethany Bennett, Eloisa James. That's why I'm so excited because I'm gonna have the talk with her. Um, I have Erin LaRosa, Jen DeLuca. Jana McGregor is going to give us a special presentation about marriage regency style.
Ooh.
Joyce, Jessica Joyce, the one from the X-Files, a new author, Alexandra Vasti, never Duke Well. She's a debut author. We're going to have her too. And Sarah Morgenthaler, who has this series, the Moose Springs series. Uh, then Sharon Sala, she has a Christmas book coming out, Snowy Mountain Christmas, which is kind of like a Cinderella story. And Jennifer Probst is closing with Book of the Month, and her book releases in October.
Oh my gosh.
So if any of you love any of these authors or want to join us in the club, just visit letstalkromancebooks.com and join us.
That sounds amazing. I mean, I'm just kind of like, as a romance reader myself, like I'm just kind of like, oh my gosh, there's so many of them, so many good ones. Um,
Yes.
but Lorelei, thank you so much for doing this again today. And we'll see you well, for anybody who joins the club, you'll see her sooner, but we'll definitely see you in December for that end of year recap. We're really looking forward to it.
Oh, yes, yes. And thank you so much. And just one last word, we meet on Thursday nights at 7:30. Every Thursday night, we're doing something fun, either author spotlight and giveaway, or romance book of the month, or romance reader roundtable.
Mhm.
So,
I love how what a warrior you are for romance because there's just not enough people like you in the world. So
oh,
Thank you so much, Lorelei. Thank you for everybody who's been here. I've really enjoyed the chat. I think you guys are really fun, and I
Thank
hope
you.
to see you all again very soon.
Yes. Thank you.
Have a great night, everybody.